Now, last September, I covered the terribly sad story of Sophie Farrell, a 10-year-old who died of an aggressive form of childhood cancer. Sophie's mum, Charlotte, and a local Tory MP, Dame Caroline Dinenage, have worked together tirelessly over the last few months. And Dame Caroline will now chair, magnificently, the Children and Young People Cancer Taskforce. Its aim will be to improve how we detect, treat and care for children with terminal cancer. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the studio by Dame Caroline Dinenage and Charlotte Farrell, who's the founder of Sophie's Legacy charity. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming in. Let's start with you. Charlotte, the last time I spoke to you, I got quite upset and choked myself. It's an incredibly moving story. Tell us about your wonderful daughter, Sophie.
Yeah, she was an amazing, obviously when she was diagnosed, she was an amazing 9-year-old. She was very healthy, happy, hadn't spent a night in hospital and, loved going to school, loved life. She was a social butterfly, loved being around people. And yeah, we never thought for a second that this was going to happen to us.
And how did things change?
So she started to become unwell in the summer of 2020 and she sort of was feeling sick. She was having stomach pains. She was really just complaining of this constant pain in her stomach. And obviously we'd gone to the GP. They obviously put it down to other things. But when she started bleeding at the end of August, beginning of September, that's when I knew something was definitely more serious. But I got told it was her first period, even though she'd just turned 9. And I was insisting that this was not. I knew that something was wrong. It was just a mother's instinct. That's the only thing I can describe. And I ended up in A&E with her after a battle with the GP and our service. But I went to the A&E and that's when they said how long she had this lump for. And they discovered a 12 centimetre tumour in her abdomen. And
by that time, presumably, it was too late.
Well, she did go through treatment. So obviously the tumour did cover the whole of her, huge amount of her abdomen. But she did go through 9 rounds of extremely aggressive chemotherapy, 7 weeks of radiotherapy. We thought we were on the homeward straight, starting on maintenance chemotherapy, but she relapsed within 8 weeks. And at that point, her body was absolutely battered from all of the treatment. And they just couldn't withstand the relapse treatment. And obviously they said any options we've got now is around palliative care rather than ever finding a cure.
And when she sadly passed away, you decided, every parent's, every parent's worst nightmare is this. But when that happened to you, you decided to do something about it, to use that legacy to turn a corner and make something wonderful happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is Sophie's wish. She knew she was dying. And she was only 10 years old when she died, just turned. She was 10 in the August. It was her last birthday. We knew it was her last birthday, and I could tell you I would never want any parent to have to celebrate a child's birthday knowing you want to give everything to them, but knowing you're never going to get any more. And she wrote this bucket list of things that she wanted changed in her memory. She wanted all of what we are now achieving, parents to be fed, better play facilities, improvements to children's cancer. She wanted this as her lasting legacy and made me promise her that I would achieve this in her memory. And when I've said to my girls, if I promise you anything, I'll do it. And I've stuck by my word ever since.
It's just an astonishing thing. And turning to you now, Dame Caroline, obviously, Charlotte's one of your constituents and you came upon this and you decided to turn this into real action.
Yeah.
And the last time we spoke, you were planning the Children and Young People's Cancer Task Force, and now it's been realised.
Yeah, well, we've worked in lockstep every step of this. Charlotte and I have worked on this together, and we first of all set about finding out to what extent Sophie's story was unusual, to what extent this kind of late diagnosis, but parents understanding the signs and symptoms, the late diagnosis, the treatments that Sophie went through, and all the rest of her experiences, to what extent that was the norm or to what extent that was unusual, and began to find more and more that it was very much the common experience that children's cancers are are identified in A&E rather than in GPs, much more than adult cancers, by which time often they're too far advanced, a whole range of things. So we set up, having got all our information, we started creating our own mission, our own wish list of things that needed to change about the way we detect it, the way we treat it, and the way we care for the children with cancer. And we were dogged in our determination. So, I've raised it in Prime Minister's questions with all the different Prime Ministers over the last couple of years. We've met every single health secretary, and even we had a debate on the floor of the House of Commons, which was the first time ever childhood cancer has been a main debate on the floor of the House of Commons, all trying to push for this childhood cancer task force. And then a couple of weeks ago, it was announced that it's going to be delivered. I'm going to chair it. Charlotte's going to be there alongside me, and we're going to get the opportunity to really try and deliver on what we've been battling for.
And what a triumph, throughout that tragedy. And I'm going to try and my best to compose myself here when I say to you, Charlotte, what do you think Sophie would say to you if she could see what you've achieved?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so pleased that we've managed to get it this far, and I just know that, she would be super, super proud. I just don't want any other parent to be in this position than what we were. To sit and watch your child die is literally the most horrific thing that you can go through. And also for her to have lost her life, she had the most years left to lose as, compared to adults' cancer. And I can't understand why we're not prioritising children much more. I mean, they do not get a voice in the decisions on how any of the money is funded and what it's prioritised for. They don't get a voice.
Well, they have got a voice, and you gave it them.
Yeah, and we have to be. Us adults have to start prioritising these children, because I just do believe, had these things happen, had this task force happened 10, 20 years ago, I think that she could have survived and could have been here. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to be in another 20 years' time of the same position happening time and time again. We've just got to start changing it.
I think it's truly inspiring what you've done, to be able to embrace something so terrible and to try and turn into something so positive for other people. I think you're a star.
Oh,
thank you very much. And to you.
Thank you, and thank you to GB News for covering the story. You were the first interview that we ever did together a couple of years ago, and you've been really supportive in our campaign, and it's, it all helps.
The politicians get so much stick. But to actually listen to a constituent and to turn something like this into genuine throughput, into genuine action that can change lives and save lives, isn't that what public service is about?
Yeah, well, Charlotte's a force of nature. We've done it together every step of the way.
But Caroline has been amazing. It has been a good duo to have. You don't get many MPs that would back their constituents like Caroline's done.
I can feel a bit of a group hug coming on. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you. It's just a tremendous pleasure to have you in the studio, Charlotte Farrell and Dame Caroline Dinenage. Thank you very much for